Hello, everybody, and I hope all is well. This is another of the do we really need to spend that much? Well, I'm going to cover powder scales, powder tricklers, funnels, powder scoops, and explain how it all works together. The first part, however, is about how I and so many people do not understand the simple fact that you can only get so close to your target weight. Believe me, I've been down that rabbit hole. Again, there is no way I can go over everything out there, but this should help you decide what kind you want to use. All right, let's weigh in on this. Okay, I want to start this off first by helping you not to go down into that rabbit hole of measuring your powder that I fell in years ago, and it's kind of a waste of time. I don't want to see you do it. So you've got kernels of powder, okay? One weighs 0.01, one weighs 0.015, one weighs 0.02, one weighs 0.025, one weighs 0.03. You get it. They're all different weights. So you're pouring your powder, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 kernels of powder into a cup, and you're weighing it out. How could all these kernels add up to be evenly 40 grains or 42 grains or anything for that matter, because they all weigh different amounts, and all these different amounts are thrown together to come up with a measurement. So if you had 10 columns that were 0.002 on top of 10, 0.002 plus 0.002, 0.002, you get it. You're going to have 0.18 at the end or something, whatever it is. But they're different weights, so you're never going to get 40 grains every time or 38 grains every time. You might get 38.1375. The combinations are endless. What I'm just trying to say is you won't get the same measurement every time. Your first load, your third load, your fourth, your fifth might all be 40 grains, and you're like, oh shit, that's nice. But then your seventh, your eighth, your ninth, your 12th, your 15th are somewhere else. It's just not going to happen. So please don't fall into that rabbit hole. You cannot get the same measurement every single time because the weight of the kernels are different. I hope that explains it to you. That is why I suggest getting a scale or a balance that is good enough to measure into the thousandths of a grain. You'll thank me down the road, because if it only goes to the hundredths of a grain, say two decimals, it could be 0.02, it could be 0.03, it could be 0.01. You don't know. These scales will only change when you add another one and it goes over, and it could go to 0.06. So that's something I don't want you to fall in the rabbit hole. I hope you understand that. Now, let's get on to some of this equipment. Well, it has been 3 weeks since that last scene, the introduction to this video. And you all know I have been having health problems, and I lost 3 weeks there. So, getting on, we can all agree that there are many ways to do one particular task. And we can also spend more or less money on the tools to do these particular tasks. Therefore, we are going to go over the many different ways of weighing, dispensing, trickling, pouring, and transferring gunpowder into brass cases and getting it right. This does not need to be a small fortune spent here. But always keep in mind that if you plan on doing this for a long time, get the best equipment you can afford. All right, let's go over powder dippers. This thing here is really great. It's called the Lee Powder Measure Dipper Kit. This kit includes 15 dippers ranging from 0.3 cc's through 4.3 cc's. I think you just have to find the right one in the combination and you'll be good to go. But for a price of only $16.98, this is really inexpensive. Now, moving on to something which I used to have and used and really liked, is this LMF adjustable powder dipper. This does what it says, and it does it good. It is exclusively only available on eBay and comes in aluminum or brass for around $50. What's nice is once you get your measurement close to where you want it, you can use your calipers to measure between the top of the bowl and the bottom of the bowl, and now you have a setting for that range. Check it out on eBay, as there are videos there also. Okay, powder throwers. Stepping up yet again, this is my current and probably my last powder thrower. The RCBS Uniflow Powder Measure 3. This is so easy to use and really speeds up the process, even when comparing to a powder throwing weighing system. I'll get into that later. If my target is 28 grains, I will adjust this RCBS to around 27.6 grains. Then it's just as simple as trickling up with my current and probably my last dandy trickler. We'll talk about this a little later also. The RCBS Uniflow Powder Measure 3 goes for $109.99, and the stand, if needed, is another $29.99. A match made in heaven, I tell you. Now, this one I have to mention just for the humor of it. It does nothing more or less than a good balance scale that measures to a thousandth of a grain and a good powder thrower, just like what I use. However, it cost over $6,500. This is the Prometheus Gen 2. Last I checked, which was well over a year ago, you do not buy or own this. You have to go into a contract and lease it forever. I don't know if you ever own it. Yes, this is a well-designed, meticulous, balanced beam scale, but it's for the elitist, if you ask me. And the one thing it doesn't do, as we'll go back to that, it does not have the capability of weighing each individual kernel, so it can come to that exact measurement, and it doesn't have a digital readout. It's just a light that is shined between 2 points for the beam scale. I'm pretty positive that never in my life, I don't care, I will never spend $6,500 on something I don't own It's just not going to happen. So let's move on. Powder tricklers. As far as standalone tricklers, this is the Frankfurt Arsenal powder trickler, which I used in my, beginning journey. It works great. It has a heavy base and only costs $32.99. So you can sit it on something if you want to adjust it up or whatever. Now moving on to my current and permanent trickler, this is the Dandy Trickler. A simple but effective design. It is battery powered, and yes, the batteries last long, and uses the concept of vibration to vibrate the kernels down the tube. It is 2 speeds on the controller, red for high, yellow for low, and you can adjust the speed more by sliding that donut ring along the tube. You can adjust the height of it. I really have to give the designer credit on this one. This Dandy Trickler sells for $138, and that is not much. I think you'll love it also. Now let's talk about scales or balances, whatever you want to call them. This is a controversial subject as far as I am concerned. This is just my findings and over the years what I have learned. I have already made a video, don't waste money on auto powder tricklers. Again, this goes back to and relates to the different weights of the individual kernels previously discussed in this video over and over. So if you want to watch that video, help yourself, but I am not going to be covering any of those here. All I can tell you is that I have used the Auto Trickler version 4 with the A&D FX120i scale and the RCBS Matchmaster Auto Trickler system. If either of these were any good, I would still have them and be using them. Okay, that's out of the way. Now this here is the RCBS M500 beam scale, and it was the first scale I ever bought. It is good for rough measurements, but I would not count on it for precision. It costs $99.99. Now let's go over to what I currently use and see no reason to ever change unless my Sartorius GD503 scale takes the long nap. So this Sartorius GD503 is no longer available. I was lucky to find one used on eBay for $400. I don't know if there are any more out there, but the replacement models are the Sartorius Entrus 2 Essential line. I would suggest reaching out to Sartorius and asking them what would be the closest comparison to the GD503. I really wish I could tell you more about this. I looked myself, and the one I thought was comparable cost around $1,690, which makes sense. I could be wrong, though. All right, let's get to funnels. As far as funnels, I remember when I got that first RCBS M500 scale, I also got the RCBS Quick Change Powder Funnel Kit for a whole $19.99 it costs now. It worked and did what it was supposed to. Next up is this Short Action Customs Funnel Kit. You would think that me, being the Short Action Customs fan that I am, this is the funnel that I use. Well, no. I tried it because I thought the modularity of being able to use your existing headspace insert and snap it on there would be cool. But I found many times kernels would get hung up on top of the case neck. Simple solution, right? Just tap your funnel with your cup. Well, more times than not, this did not work, and I'd find grains all around and didn't know if it went in this case, that case. Just couldn't have it anymore. You can get the Short Action Customs Funnel Kit, which comes with 4 inserts of your choice, 1 modular funnel, and 1.250 inch funnel extension, and the comparator tray for $215. But if you have all this stuff, you can just get the funnel for $60. Now here is the Area 419 Improved Funnel. What I like about this funnel is Area 419 approach to this. The funnel is threaded at the bottom, and you simply buy the caliper specific funnel heads and screw them on. I have never had any issues with kernels getting hung up. You can buy just the funnel with no funnel head for $40. The interchangeable funnel heads are only $15. You can also get kits. This is all well machined and fitted stuff here. Well, folks, that ends this video, and I hope in some way I have helped you to make some kind of decisions on this type of equipment. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.
If you liked this video, please do the channel a favor and leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for all notifications to get notified on new videos. Also, here is a QR code you can scan to get to the website where there is a wealth of information and my shop page. Thank you for watching.